Greetings and salutations to our fine podcast audience. Ed can't say it right.
I did say it right.
I was going to let him say it by himself, but we knew he'd screw it up.
I wanted to say it in unison.
Uh-huh. And you still didn't get that right.
Next time we're going to do it in a choral fashion.
Great.
I'll take
look
the
forward to
harmony. Nathan, which side you
Just
taking?
for Christmas.
I'm
not
doing that.
Nathan's doing the falsetto.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
All right.
You know, I sang in a band once that I had to sing the falsetto part all the time.
There you go.
That must have been a really fine band.
It was not a good band.
That's what I meant when I said it must have been. That was being sarcastic.
Yeah. Well,
did you not catch that?
Yeah. You can say that about every band I played in.
Yes, true. So here we are at episode 96.
Yes.
We're
Coming up on 100.
We are. We're getting close. We're getting very close.
We've been saying that since episode 62.
Because we didn't believe we'd get there.
We're done at 100.
Yeah.
We might be.
100's it.
We've said everything we need to say
we
at
100. We all
100.
signed a contract for the first 100.
Yep.
That's right.
Now, one thing we all just realized when we sat around the table to start recording was this is the first time we've recorded. So y'all know this. We record podcasts way far in advance because, we just are lazy. And this is the first one that we've recorded since the Braves won the World Series.
Woo-hoo!
So most
2021 world champions.
Most people have forgotten that there was a World Series by this point. But
not me.
No, I'm never forgetting.
Yeah.
Until the next one.
Until next year when I'm greatly disappointed. Dang it, the Braves never win.
Yeah.
Or they'll just win after you're dead.
Exactly.
20-something,
well,
30-something.
That might be next year. Who knows?
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
I hope you live 25 more years.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you.
But you won't be fun to be around.
I'm fun to be around now.
Nothing has changed.
Okay. But we are happy about the Braves.
About the Braves. Just in general, we're happy.
We're happy that
not
you're
that Ed's alive.
We're
not that Ed's still alive, but we're happy
about any of that.
We're happy about the Braves. It was a thrilling World Series. We're so glad it happened.
Thrilling.
Yes, True. Yes. So everybody will have, when this drops, everybody will have just come off of Thanksgiving. So
True.
Hope everybody had a great
Hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yes. Turkeys are very expensive these days. We hope you got one.
Are they?
That's what I heard.
I'll just say today, this is many days before, but somebody in the refrigerator in the office, I don't know, did y'all notice?
There's ham in there.
There's hams in the office.
I want some.
It's for our famous church ham giveaway.
Are we doing something with hams? I thought, what's up with the ham?
Normally at Christmas, we throw out individually wrapped Reese's peanut butter cups. This year's, we're throwing out individually wrapped hams.
Not the can.
No, like
14-pound
hams.
I don't know if y'all
We're throwing them from the stage.
I don't know if y'all remember. We had it early on, somewhere in the early 2000s. We did a game on stage on a Sunday morning, and we gave away canned ham.
I remember that.
Canned ham.
Canned hams.
Canned ham.
That's right. What's that movie that the canned ham plays a central figure in the? Oh, it's Christmas with the Cranks. You seen that one?
I have.
Where
I don't remember
where
that part.
the wife goes to the supermarket and there's a canned ham that she has to, and she gets into a fight over canned ham. It's a hilarious scene. You need to watch that. That's a good movie.
We should have.
That's a good family movie. Speaking of family movies.
Do you know who wrote that? That's a book. Do you know who wrote the book?
No.
John Grisham.
John Grisham. That's exactly right.
Well, there you go.
But speaking of family movies, we are 2 episodes into the fine new podcast on this
From
feed.
Community Christian Church, the new podcast network.
In the same
We are.
feed.
Yeah.
Can we call ourselves a family of podcasts?
No.
Not yet?
Yeah, we can.
I don't like those other people.
Oh, well, yeah, that's the problem.
So Nathan,
Sawyer is on the other.
That's
Sawyer.
True. Sawyer is on it.
if you haven't been paying attention, we have another podcast that drops
Donnie.
on Thursdays. We're done with that, Ed. Let's move on.
I just say, at this point, why are we waiting until he's in his 80s? He's already just doing what all 80-year-olds do and just randomly inserting people he knows. Do y'all remember my good friend Jeffrey? He worked at the Yamaha factory. Great. Thanks for contributing. Give that man a canned ham. He'll be quiet. All right. We are 2 episodes.
I thought I had lost control of this thing at one
No.
point, but that one takes the cake for me.
Put a star by this one. This one's the best
This one is when I this is the day. I'm marking it down. I truly lost control.
It's all over.
Okay.
It's all over. 2 episodes into the Family Movie Night podcast.
So last week you talked about Home Alone.
We did. We talked about Home Alone, and we had a good conversation about things that you can take from
About
that.
the movie Home Alone, I guess.
About things that you can take from that movie to have conversations with your kids
Yes.
as you're watching. That's ultimately the goal of the podcast, is that we want to give you a chance to not only build memories with your kids, but have better conversations.
That's right.
We want to make it easier to be together as a family, because believe it or not, it's not always easy. It's
Really?
not always easy to be together
I
as
don't know
a
if
family.
you know who his dad is.
True. Yeah.
Just gonna say I'm just gonna move back and just let that sit right there.
So that's our goal. Is we want to try and make it easier for parents to have a movie night with their kids and have good, important conversations. This week we're talking about Christmas Carol movies. So
all of them.
well, about
Are you
3
having
or
a
4 of
debate
them.
on which one's the best?
Christmas Carol?
We're not. What?
The movie The Christmas Carol?
Well, just movies about the
story.
Charles Dickens.
The Charles
Oh,
Dickens.
gotcha.
Based on the Charles
That's
Dickens
what I'm
novel.
trying to ask.
So we're talking about a Muppet Christmas Carol.
Which is a good one.
That's
It is a really good
That's
one.
a good
And
one.
we're talking about, there's a 2009 one with Jim Carrey.
I personally like
bad.
the Captain Picard one.
I
don't know this
the
one.
99 Christmas Carol with Patrick Stewart. We make a joke about that at one point, so it gets mentioned. And then we also talk about Scrooged from 1988.
Yep.
We watched that one all the time when y'all were
from about the time
growing
I
up.
was about 7.
The
so.
one I grew up with was the George C. Scott.
Oh, yeah.
version. That was my
That's a really good one.
The
childhood.
one I
version.
grew up with is the black and white one that preceded that one.
Yeah.
That's like from 1930.
So before television.
Before, yeah, it was made for the big screen.
Yep. So anyway, we have that
Not in
conversation.
Technicolor.
Which was about 80 inches.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So if you haven't tuned into that podcast, it's on this feed. If you're listening, it's on this YouTube channel if you're watching. So you can go back and catch those and be helpful to your family to have a family movie night.
And
Yeah.
even if you don't have family, but you like movies, you might learn something new about movies.
Yeah,
And
I
if
think
you like a podcast where you don't have to listen to Ed ramble,
That's right.
That's
you
true.
can listen to Donnie.
he's not on any
listen.
of
I'm
them.
not on that at all.
I'll say this: Donnie is probably the most insightful. I don't know what Sawyer and I are doing the rest of the time. But if
Makes
you want to
sense.
come hear Donnie say things that are maybe even more brilliant than anything we're saying in here today, that'll be my opinion.
All right.
Donnie Dorsey, brilliant man.
But
I'll
the
throw it
bar
out there.
ain't very
The
high.
bar-
No, I
It's
didn't
not
mean
high.
that. I meant brilliant in comparison, relatively brilliant.
There you go.
That's what it'll say on his gravestone. Donnie
All right.
Dorsey, relatively brilliant.
All right.
There you go.
So today on this podcast, we are going to continue something that we've done for the past 2 weeks, I believe.
Yep.
We've been introducing you guys on our Sunday gatherings online, in person, to some folks that we as a church have been partnering with over the past few years. Through the money that you guys give to us, we then use that to build God's kingdom here in this community, around the world, which we saw last week. And then this week, we're going to look at sort of a regional partner
right here.
that
Yeah.
we have. So we're going to see a full interview of one that you saw part of on Sunday, but I'm going to let Nathan set that up for us before we kick to that interview.
Sure. So on Sunday, we talked about this idea that we really are bought into, that the greatest change agent in the world is the local church, that the Holy Spirit works through the local church, and that we really do believe that the best way to make change in our world about the biggest problems, the way to go upstream, is to get disciples of Jesus in communities with other disciples of Jesus, making more disciples of Jesus who will do what Jesus does, and then that just naturally outflows that communities are improved, and neighborhoods are improved, and then cities are improved. And so we have been, since the beginning of Community Christian, a church planting church that we are all about creating communities of disciples making disciples. And so we have an interview with a church that we helped plant in partnership with another church that we planted, Momentum Christian in McDonough, and they helped us to plant a city church in Griffin. And I had a conversation with their lead pastor, Josh Abernathy, who was on staff at Momentum.
Yep.
And it's just a really good conversation about his vision, but also what they are doing in the city of Griffin, and just
This is just phenomenal. They're
Absolutely.
Just doing a great
Oh,
job.
yeah, yeah,
Just doing a great job.
well. And I can't remember if I said it on air or not, so I'll say this: I was very inspired by the stuff that Josh and them are doing. And I think if you pay attention, if you're listening to this, you will begin to see a vision of, oh, those are things that could happen in Coweta County. Those are the kind of things, and not just that Community Christian as a whole could do, but if all of us had that mentality at our workplaces, in our neighborhoods of, I'm just here to help, and what can we do for the name of Jesus for other people? It's just very powerful stuff. So I'm looking forward to people hearing it.
Me too.
Right. So, without further ado, you're going to hear it right now, and then we will be back next week, and we have a question sent to us, and we're going to answer that one on next week's podcast. But before that, don't forget, Family Night hits on Thursday.
Yes.
Family Movie Night hits on Thursday.
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol, and then we'll be back next Tuesday. So we'll see you then.
Well, hey, everybody. I am here right now in a Google Meet with somebody who is making a huge difference just across the way here from us in Coweta County over in Griffin, Georgia. It's the lead pastor of Griffin City Church in Griffin, Georgia. His name is Josh Abernathy. Josh, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. I'm doing real good. Nathan, thank you for letting me be a part of this, man. Yeah, I'm hanging out and, almost dead center in the middle of Griffin right now.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, in case people weren't here with us on Sunday when we talked about it, Griffin City Church is a church that we help to start and we support regularly. And they are actually a kind of co-plant with another church that we planted years ago, Momentum Church. So why don't you tell us a little bit, Josh, about the story, maybe your story with Momentum and then with Griffin City, just kind of the whole story of the church. Give us just a big picture.
For sure. So, I actually came on staff at Momentum 3 years into their plant. So about, 12 years ago now. But I came on staff there, and Bart Stone was a pastor there, was the pastor, still is the pastor. And so I came on as a student pastor and helped lead worship some. And I'll be honest, we loved it. Like, we still love Momentum, but I really thought that we were going to be like the student pastors that are like 60 years old. Like, we're going to do this thing for like 40 years. Like the guys that I respect so much that are still in that game. And we loved it. We love Momentum and love student ministry, middle and high school students. And I think it was a blessing that God's put it all in motion, but we got to be a part of a church plant. Now they're 3 years old, but just in their DNA is church planting. And so, and so we were on staff there and had no plans of leaving, moving, any of that. And the best way I can explain it is I just kind of woke up one morning and in my prayer time, like God just started doing something new in me. And so I actually went to the lead pastor, Bart, and I said, hey, I feel like God's doing something new in me, and it's not anything wrong that Momentum's doing, but there's some things that I see, and I'm like, man, I might do this differently. Like, can you help me distinguish whether that's just like preference? Because if it's preference, I can get over that, or if God is doing something different. And so I went to my wife and I said, hey, I think we need to start praying through maybe planting a church. And she was like, nope, not one bit. I love Momentum. Why would we do this? Why would we move our kids and all that? And the best way I can explain it is just a very sweet season for us, where my wife and I just prayed for a few months, like, God, what are you doing? And I told her, I said, I'm not saying we're leaving. I just think we need to start praying about it. So we did that. And about 3 months into us praying together, went back to Bart and went back to the leadership. And we said, hey, we feel like God may be calling us to plant a church. And their response was, well, it's about time. And which it just is a game changer. I know, sometimes we're blessed to be a part of a church that gets church planting like you guys, but that's not usually the story when a youth pastor goes to a pastor and says, I feel like I need to plant a church. And so they just completely affirmed it. And so protected us for a few more months of just prayer with elders and with them. And it was just pretty evident that God was calling us to plant a church. And so we went through the whole assessment process with Stadia and just really praying through, okay, God, where is that? So they were trying to get us to move to like Baltimore and Arizona and all these places, right? And my wife is actually from Griffin, and we just started praying. And I would drive through Griffin on my way home every day and just pray, just because it was kind of this. It's where we've lived, worked, and played for 10 years. And so one day driving by Burger King, God brought two verses to my heart. Jeremiah 29:7, seek the peace of the city to which I have sent you. and Matthew 5:14, a city on the hill cannot be hidden, and just heard God say, like, Josh, I want you to be a part of the city of God for the city of Griffin. And I went home and I told my wife, I said, I think I know where we're supposed to go. And she was like, where's that? And I said, I don't think we're going anywhere. I think God's called us to plant a church in Griffin. And so, man, we went and told that to leadership at Momentum and the team. And Bart stood on stage and said, hey, we're going to plant Josh and Lauren in Griffin. Whoever wants to go can go. Told our staff, whatever our staff wants to go can go. They paid my salary for the first year. I mean, just this incredibly healthy, beautiful process that I actually think started 10, 12 years ago with Ed and Bart sitting at a table talking about planning momentum. I think just that DNA of being generous and not hoarding things, it just started there. And so he got up there and said, hey, this is what we're doing, and you're free to go with them. And so we were sent in a very healthy way. And, for us in Griffin, why Griffin, 17% of people in Griffin attended church. And so, or claim the name of Jesus. And so we just said, hey, we didn't plant a church for the 17%. We planted a church for the 83%. And so numbers wise, there's about 4,000 people in Griffin that know Jesus and 20,000 that don't. And so we just said, we didn't plant a church for 4,000. We planted a church for the 20,000. We desire to be a Jesus movement that awakens the soul in the city. And so that's just been our game plan from day one. And so just investing in our city. We believe that the church should be the greatest agent of change in a community. And so we try to live up to that and live by that code and that desire and that dream ever since then. And so we're 2.5 years in now, and it's just been an incredibly just amazing process in that.
So, Josh, tell me a little bit about with City Church here, especially that last little piece you talked about of the church should be the change agent in a community. Well, that is something that is so central here at Community Christian as well. Is we really do believe in this. Interview is coming right out of what we call our Do Something Sunday, which is when we really put a lot of effort into. We can't do everything that God has called. That is right in front of us, all the problems in the world. But God's not calling us to do everything. He's just calling us to do something.
Yeah.
And we said, for here at Community Christian, we believe that if we can reproduce more disciples of Jesus in different places, they will make the change where they are. So tell me about how that works for City Church. What are you guys' approach, your strategy to being the change agent for your city?
Yeah, so good. Yeah, I think one of the phrases we use is similar, is that we can't do everything, but we will do one thing like it's everything. And so I think that's where we kind of started. So 3 years ago, I sat down with 100 city officials, business owners, principals, and asked 4 questions. What's your dream for the city in the next 5 years? What are its greatest needs? What would you love for the relationship between the church and the city to look like? Or what does it look like? And what would you love for it to look like? And sadly, when I got to those last 2 questions, every single out of 100 people, every single person that I met said, you're the first church to actually come and ask us what we would love for it to look like. I thought that was, a gift to us to have that conversation, but just very eye-opening as well. And so we said from day one, we bought an ice cream truck. And so we give away free ice cream. And so when I met with every person, I said, hey, listen, I can't offer you much right now because we haven't even started, but I can offer you free ice cream. And so we'll do that one thing like it's everything. And so in the last 3 years, we've handed out over 100,000 pieces of ice cream, and half of our baptisms. So we've seen 79 people baptized in the last 3 years. Half of those have come from people we've met through the ice cream truck. Like that was our first point of just meeting place with us in that. And so we started with an ice cream truck, and then I just started showing up in meetings, and I was like, listen, I just want to learn. I think some of the challenges, as a church, we come in and try to be prescriptive about everything instead of asking people to be, hey, would you be as descriptive as possible so that we can figure out how we can help meet these needs. And so I just showed up in meetings, like city council meetings, board meetings, and I was like, if I'm okay to be in here, I'll sit in the corner and I will speak when spoken to. I just want to learn. And so from the very beginning, I just started doing that. And one of the things that we're in a meeting, and they found out that the city had lost funding for movies in the park. And so So just in the meeting, hadn't launched it or anything. And the head of that meeting looked at me and said, hey, would City Church want to take that over? And I was like, yes. I don't know what that means, but yes, we will definitely take that over. And so we just started doing that. And the first time we did it, one of the heartbeats of Griffin is, and there's some of this in every community, but Griffin is incredibly divided racially and socioeconomically, and it's divided by train tracks. And so you have two different cities living in the same boundaries, but not conversing, not spending time together. And so we just believe that if the church should be the greatest agent of change in the community, then we should be the ones building the bridge, even racially, in our community. And so even moving the park where we did it centrally to where everyone would come together. And so the first moving the park we did 3 years ago, multiple people said, this is the most diverse thing we've seen in Griffin in a long time. A mother came up to us and said, a black mother, and she said, hey, thank you for creating a space where I can show my son that it's okay for black kids and white kids to play together, to dance together, to laugh together. And it's a good thing and a celebrated thing. And we were like, man, this is part of the mission. And so, Griffin is divided even statistically, racially. And so that's been kind of one of our goals, is to create spaces where a community and city can come together. And we just think something valuable happens in that space. And so we started with ice cream. We started doing movies in the park. And again, doing that one thing like it's everything. And from there, we're like, okay, the next piece we feel like is important is we want to put mentors in local elementary schools. And so we have one partner elementary school. Again, there's 18 here, but we want to invest in one. And so we are the largest provider of mentors in our county at this point for that one elementary school. But the cool thing is, the vision was that every school would have mentors that are active from local churches in there. And so we now have not just our school that has mentors, we have 5 other schools that have other churches that are mentoring in those schools as well. And we've helped them start that process. And so we went from that to the biggest one that we're incredibly excited about right now. Because again, it's the same, what you guys feel as well. The church should be the first phone call when there's a need in the community. Like, sadly, it's not that way, but the church should. And that's been our desire. And so what we actually saw was that come to fruition fully. And back in January, the county basketball rec department, the board stepped down for just different reasons. And so they were not going to have rec basketball this year. And we were the first name that got brought up in the county rec meeting. And the question was, would City Church be interested in taking over this program? And so we got a phone call. It's very similar to when I was asked to take over movies in the park. They said, hey, would you guys be interested in taking over rec basketball? I'm a basketball player. Half of our staff play ball, either in college or high school. And so my initial response was yes. And then I thought about it and I was like, hold on, we need to know what this actually entails. And so we did about 4 months of spending time with the rec department and putting together, and they basically gave us the keys to the whole program and said, you name it what you want, build it how you want. We just need a trustworthy program from a trustworthy organization in our community. And so we presented it about 4 months ago to the rec department. We got unanimous yeses to launch Spalding United Youth Basketball. And so now we are the single provider of rec basketball in Spalding County. And so we just had our first workout this past Saturday. And so we had 300 kids. Every kid has a team and every team has a coach, which is a huge deal in this community. And so 37 teams, we are getting to lead that charge. And so I just think, and again, all of these pieces, we tell people, all of these pieces are steps to lead people to Jesus. And so we've seen people from movies in the park come to know Jesus, from mentoring come to know Jesus and get baptized. We've seen ice cream truck events. And so now what we're praying is that the people that we meet and the families that we serve through Spalding United Youth Basketball would come to know Jesus as we serve and as we make our city greater. So
that's incredible. I think everyone at Community Christian is just amening all of that right now. That's
it's exciting, man. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying, but so much fun and so exciting. Like, I think one of the things that my wife and I prayed before we even started this thing is, God, whatever you're doing, we just want to be on the front lines. And what we've learned is the front lines are scary. But why would we want to do anything else? My daughter and my kids are into Dude Perfect right now. And like one of the phrases in Dude Perfect is, it's either 5 seconds of fear or 50 years of regret. And I'm like, let's just go and let's just chase and run into the fear and see what God does. And so we're excited about it.
That's incredible. So tell me about for the people in your church.
Yeah.
What have you seen for them when they are getting involved in these programs you're doing? Because like you said, you've got mentors. What is it doing for their discipleship to Jesus be involved in these programs, to see it as their mission to not just come and serve, because they still got to come on Sunday morning and pull Sunday morning off. But that church is what happens during the week too, and these kind of things. So what is that doing in their lives?
Yeah, I think when you plant a church, you want to reach people who are far from God, but you also reach church people in the process. And I think when you reach church people, they come in with some different just opinions and preferences and some of that stuff. And so we've said from the beginning, hey, we want Sundays to be good, but we want Mondays to be great for our church. And we want Wednesdays and Thursdays, what you're saying, to be great. And so, one of the things that we've done from the beginning is we don't call volunteers, we call them city builders. And so we just try to communicate, you are doing more than filling a role in a roster and filling a task. Like, you are helping us build up this city of God in the city of Griffin. And so some of the cool things that we've seen from this are just people that are taking steps. So there's one family that, this one story I think of it as you asked that question is, so in the very first movie in the park, we met a woman named Lily. And Lily had 6 kids. She was a widow. And Lily had just moved to Griffin. And so she went from moving in the park to she came to an interest gathering. So she had a meal with us. Lily, I actually sat down at Lily's table and we were talking. And she said, about 5 minutes in, she said, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm the pastor here. And she looked at me like I was crazy, like most people do when I tell them I'm a pastor. And she said, well, where I come from, pastors don't sit at tables with people like me. And I said, well, welcome home. This is the church that we are. And so Lily and her kids just kept investing and kept getting plugged in. We kept hanging out with them and through different things. And about 8 months later, when we launched, Lily's entire family got baptized. So Lily and her 6 kids all got baptized on one Sunday, which was amazing, right? And so they started serving in the ice cream truck. She's an incredible leader, right? Started serving the ice cream truck. Their kids were getting plugged in. And so we just kept seeing this amazing growth from them. And so this past semester in our city groups, Lily came to us and she was like, I think I'm ready to lead a group. And so now, like, we met Lily in a movie in the park, and we've seen a few years of her growth and her growing. She got remarried. I got to do the wedding, which was so cool. And now she's leading a city group. And so I think the thing that we see people understanding and clicking more for them is that what you just said is that, I mean, Sundays are good, but like, if what happens on Sunday doesn't go into a Monday, then it's pointless. Like, what are we even doing here? And I think, that's been our heart from the very beginning, is that Sunday is not a place that you land. It's a place that you're sent from. And so, I think we've seen stories like that. We see stories of people who we need people serving on Sunday mornings, but like, there's nothing like handing out free ice cream and someone asking, hey, how much is it? And just saying, no, it's completely free. And knowing what you're communicating is not that we're handing out free ice cream. You're communicating, hey, there's a God who literally gave his life away for our freedom, and you can have that for free. And so, it's cool to see those kind of moments in the stories of our city builders. And also, I think just your everyday people that have never been involved in a church, understanding like, I can invest in my community and I can actually play a part in this. And I don't have to be a Bible scholar. I don't have to even have grown up in church all my life. Like, I can come in 1 week and I can serve the next week. Like, I think you see those moments, and then you start to see this whole awakening in someone's soul of like, man, maybe God created me for something more than just to live this life. Like, I can actually use what he's entrusted to me and give it back to him. And so, man, it's just, it's cool to see those stories play out.
So Josh, tell me a little bit about what you have in mind. I know you guys are right now in the place of, as you've mentioned, you're really trying to respond to the needs that are there. But I know from being on church staff that you have dreams, you have ideas of where you see City Church going. What do you see in the future for City Church and really for the city of Griffin as a whole?
Yeah. I mean, we pray from day one that we just say, God, give us Griffin. And so I think when we say that, we mean a few things. I mean, we want to see 20,000 people come to know Jesus. Like, we desperately want to see that come and to happen. And whether that is from our church or just the local church, and we're totally good with that. that the local church in Griffin sees 20,000 people come to know Jesus. There's some dreams that we've had from day one. We want to plant redemptive businesses in our city. And so one of the things that the city needs is the city needs businesses and business owners to come in and to have a vision for the city that adds value to the city, and not like I'm writing Bible verses on pallet wood and all that stuff and selling that. That's good, but we want insurance agencies and we want restaurants that have this vision to make Griffin better and brighter. And so one of our visions is to actually plant those businesses. Another dream for us in the next 2 years is to plant a church. And so we want to do what Momentum did for us and what Community did for Momentum and Community has done for us. Like, we want to do that. I remember Ed was one of the first lunches that I had to cast a vision for our church and to ask someone to partner with us. And I remember telling Ed that my dream is to sit on the other side of this table where you are one day, because I want to equip and I want to empower and I want to encourage church planners the way that he has done for us and the way that Community has done for us. And so that's the dream, is to plant a church in the next 2 years. We want to see that happen. We want to plant redemptive businesses in the next few years. A big thing for us right now is we are, where we're at physically, like location wise, we know that we're starting to outgrow this space. And so the dream is that we would have a space that doesn't just house our church, but more importantly, houses kind of those redemptive businesses as they're kind of investing in our city. We want to be a place that can equip more mentors. And so we're working with Spalding Collaborative to actually create a space in that where more mentors can happen, and also a place for people can kind of get on the job training of how to apply for jobs, how to get out of poverty, all of those things. And so we're dreaming of that. We have the desire every year that 3 needs in our city get eradicated. And so we've actually eradicated two needs this past year. And so we're praying for number 3 before the end of December. And so every year we want to see at least 3 needs in our city eradicated. And so, yeah, those are some of the dreams right now that we have. We want to be a church planting church. We want to be a business planting church, and we want to be a church that sees people come to know Jesus.
Well, that's incredible. And I think for those of us here at Community Christian, it is just such a blessing to be able to partner with you guys, to support you guys in all that you're doing, because all of that is so near to our heart and so near to who we want to be as well. And I don't know about everyone else who's listening to this, but man, it's been good for my heart just to hear it. It's inspired thoughts in me of what could happen here in Coweta County and the way that the church could really come alive. And so Josh, do you have anything that you'd like to just say to people at Community Christian who are invested here, and they don't necessarily see how what they're doing here is making a difference in Griffin, but anything you have to say to them?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I could take up another 30 minutes in this, but you probably will never know. And I think that's the hard part of investing in the kingdom, is we will never truly know everything that our investment does. But I mean, there are countless names. There's 79 names of people who have given their life to Jesus and been baptized. And it's because of the investment of Community. There are businesses in a city that is slowly being transformed. And I believe that an awakening is happening in Griffin with even other local churches that we're getting to invest in because of your investment. And you have been a gift to us. Ed has been just an incredible encouragement. Every time I need encouragement or I need someone just to shoot me straight, I just go to Ed, because I know he's going to do it in such a loving, caring way. But just, hey, I'm for you, and I think this is a good move. We should do this. And so, just a huge financial investment was massive for us. And so, thank you for that financial investment from day one, and how you continue to ask those questions and help us. And even just the leadership beyond that point. I mean, to know that I've got someone in my corner like Ed and like your church, it's great to know that, hey, we're growing, and we're like, as we're starting to walk and figure out how to do things, like we've got someone that's kind of holding our hands in that process, but also saying, hey, you need to walk, you need to keep going. And so thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, from our church's heart, from our leadership's heart, for your investment and your vision and your generosity and open-handed generosity to plant churches. I think unapologetically, and I think that's the beauty of what God's doing there, and we couldn't be more grateful for it. So thank you for investing. Thank you for creating moments for us to help move people to Jesus by your generosity and by your support.
Well, thank you, Josh, for taking the time to do this, and thank you for what you and City Church are doing for the kingdom and for the city of Griffin. Just amazing, amazing work. So thank you for doing this interview with us.
Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate it.